That's sure. I have a feeling you like
I was already working on it.
I did.
I have a
But
couple of things
not
for you to like.
not the disgusting.
I like the little thin ones.
Yeah.
The thin ones. They're disgusting. But not like that.
Call me today.
No, he asked me for your phone. They asked me for your phone. Oh, maybe I've given it to you.
Did you?
Are you up?
I got it. That's my city council one I had to issue. Got it.
Good evening.
No, thank you.
Actually, they're better than those. Good.
He is in St. Pete's. He's got some work in Tampa and his brother lives there, so he's going to stay with his brother and work for a week. It's hard to beach out, so it's gotta be. Nope. No, Eric, the musician.
Oh, sure.
His sister Amy.
If they're not here
She's the choir director at St. Pete's Church. Schneider. She's a teacher. Music teacher. Amy, Joe, Eric, and then
It is. Is it third and like here or one? Fourth and one?
Well, I know there was one over on the
No, you added eight.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you talking about the street?
Yeah.
Oh, the street is third or fourth, where that bump is.
Thank you.
I think so. You can't miss it.
We got it put on today.
You got it ground down?
That's not coffee.
Oh, put on, okay. I'll double check, but I mean, you can't miss it.
obviously I do because
Then it must not be
every
third.
day I drive on third and fourth.
It's going southbound.
I drive it every day.
And they were over there, they wanted to, so last year, we didn't have it. I don't know what's going on, but it's a hook, like, kind of like.
I confused him. They're not the same.
Thank you. Was that a weather report? Yep.
Relevant to the.
They're ranking which areas of course the movies may have started to do.
Right.
need a magnifier this big. Huh?
Yeah, if anything, sit and relax.
Yeah, we don't have any, we don't have other. We're all for it.
I am, yes.
No, since we're in the green, we got.
Got some yellows.
Okay, everyone, sorry about that. So it is now 6:05. We are going to call the Environmental Services Utility Board meeting to order for Monday, April 15th, 2024. At this time, we'll begin with public comment. Seeing no public comment, we will move on to roll call. Present.
Alderman Lewis. Alderman Cruz. Here. Alderman O'Brien.
Here.
Alderman Oziga.
Present.
Alderwoman Swanson.
Here.
Alderwoman Johnson.
Here.
Alderman Jones.
Present.
Clerk Hall.
Here.
We do have a quorum. Next up, you have the minutes before you for March 18th, 2024. Is there approval for those minutes?
So move, Mayor Curtis.
I have a motion from Alderman Elsinga. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second from Alderman Jones. Is there any questions, comments, additions, or changes to the minutes? Seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Cruz. Aye. Alderman O'Brien.
Aye.
Alderman Oziga.
Aye.
Alderman Swanson.
Aye.
Alderwoman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Clerk Hall.
Aye.
Minutes are approved for March 18th, 2024. Next up is the bills. You should have in front of you the bills for April 15th, 2024. They total in the amount of $720,459.51. You also have before we approved at City Council the bills for April 1st in the amount of $325,672.92 for a total of $1,046,132.43. Is there a motion to approve the bills?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion from Alderwoman Swanson. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second from Alderman Elsinga. Any questions or comments regarding the bills? Okay. Seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Cruz. Aye. Alderman O'Brien.
Aye.
Alderman Oziga.
Aye.
Alderwoman Swanson.
Aye.
Alderwoman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Clerk Hall.
Aye, but I do need to abstain from check 34815 due to a conflict.
Okay. The bills are approved. We'll now move on to item 5, and that is, we'll begin with reports on our monthly activity. We'll start with the ESU Street and Alley Report. Mr. Lopez?
Good evening. Everything was is in the report. We did do some. We did get all the downtown dining put up, tables and chairs, railings. We actually today we just finished putting up 7 more trash cans, and we still have 2 more that go around the depot. We also sent in with the help of Paula. We did the IDOT highway maintenance reimbursement. We sent in that quarter, 3rd quarter.
Can you kind of go over, you did some of the cleanup along Kennedy Drive there, along with, I know the railroad trash
Yeah,
talked a
we,
little too, but what we did there?
We actually put some mulch down the river down there as well, and then we cleaned up the guardrails all the way from the walking path all the way to the park entrance. We took down 3 crabapple trees in the main entrance there. They're finishing up doing the trims in Upper and Lower Riverview. So if you look, you could actually see all the way from River Street all the way to Court Street, down the street. You could see, which you haven't been able to do that in a long time. So the The three tree trimmers are doing a great job. We're almost, I think we're done with that today, right? Or we're getting up a couple more days.
So my intent was to go through till the end of the month, cleaning up any odds and end thing. You know, we couldn't get some cars moved in certain areas, so been going back and knocking on doors. I believe we'll be finished by the end of the month with Upper and Lower Riverview, north-south streets. The north-south, east and west streets have been done in Upper Riverview because that was the worst area as far as overgrowth. The east-west streets in Lower Riverview will probably not be hit until next winter. We won't be able to get to those east-west streets because we need to get back on removals.
I have noticed that if you do look down the streets, you can see 4 or 5 blocks, all those lights underneath the canopy of the trees, so that's good. Alderman O'Brien?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, Director Lopez, to the entire team, the tree team. It really has made a difference, especially as you noted, Upper Riverview. It's been a while since those were touched, and that looks great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Osinga?
Kennedy Drive really looks good too, where you cleaned it up there. It really looks good. You can see the river. It looks very nice. Good job.
Thank you.
You're not getting a raise though.
No?
Did you see that smile?
Is that getting around? Is that getting around?
Frank, maybe.
End of the sample.
I'll take them.
Any other questions for Mr. Lopez? Okay, thank you. Next, we had the ESU Technical Services Report. You do have that in your packet. Ms. Hall is not with us tonight. If there's any questions that's happening there, you can reach out to us there. I do know they've been working on a lot of different streetlights, trying to get those up and running. There was some stuff along over Schuyler Bridge and some other areas. I know they were, I'll look to Mr. Newton, but you guys were working, I think, on Court Street. They were working on some there. Additionally, there's just been, the electricians are always working on traffic lights. There's even one right at City Hall that was on a 4-way flasher. They did a temporary repair on that until they can get ComEd out to address the electrical situation there. So there's been a lot of, I'll call it a lot of different projects that those teams are doing there. So, but as you look at your report, is there any questions regarding technical services? We'll move on to the sewer services report, and Superintendent Newton.
Thank you, Mayor. So it's been a busy month. As you can see from sewer calls, we had 20 last month, which to my knowledge is the most that we've ever had. But it's not too alarming. We did not have any problems with our system. Everything is well with that. I think it's a combination between a lot of rain. I think we had a lot of calls, homeowners with their laterals experiencing a lot of infiltration in those laterals was one reason, and another one was I think that the social media pushes that we've done about our sewer services to residents coming out and checking when they have any kind of problems is really it's taken hold, and so we've gotten a lot of calls regarding that. As far as cleaning, it was a routine month. We've jetted a little over 10,000 feet of line. That's pretty in line with what we do each month as far as preventative maintenance goes. A couple of things to note at our lift stations. Mantino, I've talked about that the past couple of meetings. We did get a system in place where we've got chemicals and a dosing meter. Thanks to Ryan and his hard work, we've got that set up. It is dosing at regular intervals. And I do think it's making a positive impact on the lift station out there. It's been quite a while since we've had any kind of alarms. It was getting pretty out of control there for a while. We were seeming to respond almost daily to alarms and having to vac out that wet well almost weekly. So this has helped us to get this under control. Now, this is a temporary solution until the industries out there can get some sort of pre-treatment online and in some cases working better. The chemicals and the dosimeter, this is a cost that we're passing on to those industries because it is specifically those industries that are causing this issue. At Garden Creek, we are still bypass pumping, but GAI has been down a couple of times now. They've got the two pumps that they removed last time. They've got those back in place. They're working a little bit on the discharge line. When they got the one, if you remember last time, it was just above the last check valve. That's where the leak was. That piece was replaced, and we opened it up, and there's another leak in a section of pipe that's a little higher up. So we had to close that again. They're working on getting that piece of pipe, and I believe it's only going to take a couple of days to get that. They should get that in. Then we can get that third pump out and get that going. They've taken a lot of measurements, working on control panel and that sort of thing. So it's making progress, but you know, it's just one small step. Other than that, I guess I can touch on the hydro things that we've been doing at the hydro update. I think that is that's about it. Any questions?
Any questions for Zach and Sewer Services? Alderman Jones?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say I really was impressed with, when I looked down into the drain on the south side the other day, the impressiveness of how clean it was and the flow that was coming down. I think it was on, I don't know if it was on Lincoln or Popular when the guys came out. They did an excellent job at recognizing what was going on, but you know, I wish inside my sewer looked that good, but it has nothing to do with you, just the walls and the whole complex and I see the difference in some of the areas where it is newer than some of the older areas, but it was good, and the guys were real prompt in what they did, and they were very professional, and I just wanted to let you know, as their boss man, they did a good job.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we'll move on to Lab Services Report. Mr. McGinnis?
Thank you, Mayor. Lab's running routinely. Just a few short updates. March so far looks to be a strong month for the industrial sewer flow. That's good news. As Zach mentioned, we worked to get that permanent grease-zilla installation in the Mantina lift station. That seems to be working well, and he said that's just a temporary solution. We're working with the industries to continue to take this issue seriously so that they're finding ways that they can reduce their loading of grease to our lift station. And then lastly, did want to let you know about a situation that happened over the weekend. The industries had a spill that leaked out to the river, so fire was called. The chief there and Zach, as well as the industry, got EPA involved, and we're working with the industry to get that issue handled. We think we found the source of the problem, and we've got to stop. Just working on some remediation things there. So, that'll finish up shortly within the next few days, and that should be returned to normal.
Any questions for?
What factory was it that had the leak?
That'd be IKO Midwest, the shingle manufacturer.
Okay.
Where did it enter the river at?
So it got into a creek, and then Bar Creek.
Okay. Okay. Was that on Saturday afternoon?
Sunday.
What's that?
It was Sunday.
Okay.
So we had a, and I want to thank Superintendent Newton, Mr. McGinnis, Chief LaRoche and the fire. A resident had noticed at the Gar Creek and the Kinky River an oily substance in the water. So they called in, I believe it was to DNR, who then called Illinois IPA, and then they alerted CANCOM, which then got the fire department and their emergency response crews involved. They tracked it all the way back up to looking at several industries. It was IKO, where we've noticed their storm sewers had that oily substance in it also, and then tracked it back into what we believe is the plant there. So thankful to all the team that was out there on a Sunday morning through the afternoon, and working with them, and so we'll have to further evaluate the situation there. So I'll let Zach probably knows this a little bit better, but we'll have to file a formal report with Illinois Environmental Protections Agency, and then we'll have to react from there, so we'll keep you informed on that. But at this point, we believe that the substance has stopped penetrating into Gar Creek.
Will they be fined for that, for their leakage? Or will
Most
they be
likely,
made
yes.
responsible for cleaning it all up?
Yeah, so basically, there's a combination of things. And correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but Illinois Environmental Protection Agency is going to look to the city of Kankakee. It's part of our MS4 reporting and different things. We will be ultimately responsible for assessing the fines to that. If we don't, then they would step in and actually could potentially even fine us for not enforcing what we need to enforce there. So as far as all the work that has to be done that was on yesterday and cleanup and anything that has to do with that, that'll all be their responsibility. And Chief LaRoche is working with the team, and he'll be invoicing for all of that.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. We're going to move on to item 5B, and that is the financials. So I'm going to look to Assistant Comptroller Rogers, if you can lead us through that. Oh, 1 second, sorry. You're good.
Better?
Yes.
Okay, so at 11 months through the year, we should be at roughly 92% of our budget. We continue to be in very good shape with our expenses being almost 7.5% below the projected year, while our revenues are over 5% above the projected year. On page 2, I'll draw your attention to the first one of the graphics there that shows our cash balances. We are at the highest level we've been in the 5 years that are being tracked there, and we're almost $1 million over where we were at this time last year. So we are really in a good position. As you know, there are several projects coming down the pike that we're going to need that money for. So that does help. On page 3, that very top graphic on page 3, we had a very big month this month on the Aqua residential billing. It was almost $200,000 higher than this time last year. I put a question into Aqua to try and get some sort of reasoning as to what caused that hike. We could tell that there had been some adjustments to the billing, but I haven't gotten any response back. I'm going to assume that we're okay, and eventually they'll tell us why it went up so high. That's an awful lot of money for them not to have addressed it if it was an issue. On page 4, I have included a couple of new graphics. Basically, these are the same type of graphics that the auditors give us when they finalize the numbers. It gives you a breakdown of expenditures and revenues by category. That's a nice comparative to have every year. There really wasn't a whole lot that stood out in the individual detailed level reports, other than the fact we still remain under budget significantly in the way of wages and benefits. Our wastewater treatment is still right at where budget is, which isn't surprising because the revenue side of it is where we budgeted as well. It's actually higher. So it makes sense that those expenses would be running higher. And that was all I had, unless somebody has questions.
Any questions regarding the financials?
Mayor, I do have one question.
Alderman Osinga.
I talked to you about this a couple weeks ago, and I can't think of terminology, but in our aqua bills, I don't know if you guys noticed, there's a bill there, in addition to your bill, it's like 10 to 12 cents. It's not a lot. And I called the mayor, I was asking if somebody okayed to have that put on the bill. I don't know that it has been. Anybody aware of that?
So it was
Make up some
addressed,
shortage.
I'm looking to Alderwoman Johnson. So Dave Carter was here addressing the proposed rate hike with the ICC, but he did talk about that in the bill, and it's basically, it's not dictated by us, it's dictated across all of their billing throughout the state of Illinois to help with
Is that the COVID hardship?
COVID makeup from people not paying and some other things, and it's from the ICC level, not from a local level, that it authorized that, so.
Do they have to prove that, or can they just do it and we have to live with it? I only got one call on it.
Yeah.
I saw it on my bill, but I did get a call on it from a neighbor lady saying, what is it? I said, I don't really know.
Yeah. Comptroller Kubal, do you?
Yeah, Mayor, I was just going to say that, I mean, anything that has to be done through the ICC is obviously highly regulated. So if they went through all the formal steps to do that, and it was deemed okay, I don't think there's a lot we can do about that here.
Okay. All right, thank you.
But I'll can follow up with Dave about that again, Mr. Carter, and just find out, so. But he did address that a little bit. It was brought up that night briefly, so.
Okay.
Any other questions regarding financials? Okay. We're going to move on to old business and the hydro plant update. Superintendent Newton will bring us up to speed. There is actually quite a bit happening right now, so it seems like each month it keeps getting ramped up more here, and we'll go from there, so.
Yes, so things are really picking up, and that's a good thing. I am still awaiting prices from NORCAN for the potential scope of Unit 1. The big holdup is waiting for the foundry to give us a price for recasting those blades. And the other big item fix for Unit 1 is there's a big crack in the main gear. But really, from the assessment, all the other components look in decent shape. So that's a good thing. So I think that we can kind of expect something similar for Unit 2. But again, once we get everything finalized with Unit 1, then I think we'll kind of turn our attention to Unit 2, and NORCAN will come and get that and take it back to their shop for assessment. As far as the hydro building itself, so the roof bid was awarded, so that is going to start soon to get that done. Tree trimming on the high voltage line was completed last week, so that's ready to go. And if you look at my report for the hydro production, you notice that we're coming up on 3 years of it being kind of mothballed. But we are making progress. I did meet with the city engineer to talk about moving the pump. So that is really the last hurdle, I think, is we get that going. As I said, the high voltage line has been trimmed. So I really think that we're still on target to, start at least preliminary trial Unit 3, get it up and running late summer, fall, just to see if we can generate some electricity and some revenue with that. At this point, I think that's a realistic goal, and that's what we're shooting for.
One of the things, just to kind of relate back to you, so electric costs are rising dramatically, so kind of the timing of this is somewhat good. Just at the Karma Sewer Plant, we've had to budget for a substantial increase in electric costs. It used to be it seemed like we would write a check for somewhere around $43,000 to $44,000. They're now coming in at about $60,000 a month. That we've now are going to be budgeting about $150,000 more a year in electric costs there. So even talking with the team down at Karma, they're kind of anxious for us to get this up and running too, because we have the ability that we can pass on a lower cost to Karma, which will save the 4 municipalities or the operation of that sewer plant money, but then also be generating money for us here at the city of Kankakee. So it's kind of a win-win both ways. As we said, talking to Superintendent Newton, the goal is if we can get the third pump is in place, it could be run. We just had to get a couple things fixed, and we believe we'll have that here shortly. Get that up and going. That'll also help with our FERC licensing, which you're going to see here a little bit, showing that we are running it again. The ultimate goal is if we can get turbine 1 into place, while they're working then on turbine 2, get both of those into place, and then we'll pull 3 out, and at least we'll have 2 of the 3 working at most times. So I think it's a realistic goal in the next 90 days. We can get that between getting the pump moved and just making sure that power can be delivered down the Karma safely. The biggest thing is I think you mentioned before about the blades. I think we talked about that last month, but the bronze coating, is it?
Yeah,
Versus
the-
switching out completely to stainless steel?
Right, correct, yes. They're made of bronze now, and they've been, there's evidence of brazing. That is failing, and so if we were to do that again, it would definitely 100% fail. So I think going stainless steel, that's the way to go.
So part of that is getting a cast and molding, so we can do all three of them that way. We just don't know what that cost is, so we'll have to get that evaluation.
Right, so if we were to get all three of them cast at the same time, that would save us some money. So that's what we want to do.
Alderman Marzak?
Makes sense. Where are we with the problem with the transmission line that we had?
So, we had that investigated. There were no faults found. The only recommendation that came of that was to control the vegetation that was growing around that, and we had that done last Monday.
Right now, so our understanding is everything is good once we start generating down to Carmer there. We'll obviously have to test that once we get it up and running with them, but it was the vegetation. So I believe you'll see in the bills tonight, there was about a bill for 14,000 or so.
Yes, that was
something like
for
that, and that was for tree trimming that was just done. But that was done all the way from the hydro plant all the way down to the sewer plant.
And also there was a talk about, tying in the lift station over in Kennedy Drive. I mean, obviously that's probably down in the future, but do we have any costs associated with that? I mean,
We don't yet. That is an ultimate goal to get that tied in. I think our first goal is to make sure we get it running properly down there, providing as much power as we can down there, and then bringing that on at some point.
Because wasn't that like $6,000-7,000 a month?
It is roughly, depending on the month, it's running anywhere from $5,000 to $8,000. So we looked at, there could be a potential of a $40,000 savings there, provided the capacity is there.
Right, looking to the future, we wanted to put that in our application process for the relicensing of the hydro, because it's much easier to put that in now than to come back and try to modify that application. So yeah, that was just, it's very preliminary at this point, but as the mayor said, we want to get it up and going first and make sure that's good, and then we can kind of expand.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have no unfinished business, so we're going to move on to item 8, and that is new business. You have before you item 8A, ESU continuing spending resolution consistent with fiscal year 23-24. We have done this in the past. Obviously, as you know, we will not have a budget by May 1. Our anticipated goal is that we'll have those budgets for you no later than June with ESU. But this allows us to be able to continue to work off the old budget and continue to pay expenses that we need to going forward. So this is something that we've done for as many years as I can remember. And so we're doing one for a recommendation out of here to forward to full city council, and tonight at we're doing both at city council, correct, comptroller? Okay. We'll do both city budget and the issue in full tonight. So I'm looking for a motion to recommend to full city council the continual spending resolution for fiscal year 23-24, consistent with fiscal year 23-24.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion from Alderwoman Swanson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Alderwoman Johnson. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Pruitt? Aye. Alderman O'Brien?
Aye.
Alderman Singer?
Aye.
Alderwoman Swanson?
Aye.
Alderwoman Johnson?
Aye.
Alderman Jones?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that'll be on the city agenda tonight for approval. Next is item 8B, Robinson Basin 9 proposal. So that's with Robinson Engineering in the amount of $146,475. To give you a little history and the documents that I just passed out there. This was, if you remember back in 2022, we engaged their services to oversee all the, basically I'll call the lower Riverview and Hillcrest area, the construction and the reporting for us. That's where you got all those reports. They took the camera, the videotaping and everything. They put in a report, showed you where a lot of the leaks were, gave some recommendations of 4 or 5 different ideas of how you could spend, basically at that time it was anywhere from $600 to $1.1 million to $5 million moving forward. and give us some analysis of cost once that is all determined. Just to give you a little bit of a background, in 2022, we authorized about $122,500 for them to do this. This time, it's $146,475. It is a much larger area that they're looking at. And how we determine that area, we discussed this at a couple meetings ago. If you have in front of you, there's two documents that look very similar. The first one is, it says, if you read, they both say both the title, but one says mg per inch of rainfall. And that is the one that has, if you look, basin ID number 9 is number 1 on the list. If you look to the map there, the number 9 basin is basically everything that is to the north of the city there. So that is everything north of the railroad tracks out to I-57, wraps around a lot in the first ward there to railroad tracks and cuts through. If you look, that is the number 1 basin. It's very red there. That receives, when it rains, that's the millions of gallons per inch of rainfall that's going into that basin. So basically, that's talking about where we have a lot of what we call storm water that doesn't necessarily need to go into our sanitary sewer. The second one is gallons of linear feet per inch of rainfall. If you look at that ranking, it's number 2, with number 8, number 1. But number 2, the reason why that is, that's a much wide area, so all that rainfall is spread out over all those linear feet. I did pull some numbers from the Robinson proposal. There's roughly about 73,570 linear feet, I believe, of sewer lines there, and over 242 manholes that need to be inspected there. So this was kind of the first step of them doing that. The only difference we have this time is, if you remember, when we did this in 2022, we did go out for bid for the camera and televising of the lines to determine where the work was needed. This is where the ESU team, with the purchase of that new camera, that little tiny thing that was this big that we spent our whole budget on, just kidding. But that and the truck, Zach and his team feel they can do a lot of that camera and reviewing, turn that information over to Robinson. They can then they can document it, put everything together, and come back with recommendations for us to be able to go out and bid for repair. As you're looking at those maps, I think you'll also see there, when we did this last time, number 1 basin and a little bit of what I'll call number 1 and number 2 areas. If you remember, you wouldn't see them on here, but there was a lot of orange and red in that section. And once we did the work here and got everything done, we didn't do 100% of it. I think 100% of all repairs was about $5 million. So we did about 20%, spent about $1.3 million to do those repairs. And you're seeing two things. If you look at this reports now, this was from the flow monitoring that was done. It's pretty green. There really isn't a whole lot of yellow and orange tint to it. There's a little bit, but nothing like it was before. So it was well spent money. We believe we're also seeing a direct result in our billing also at Karma. In the past, we had significantly high flow charges there. They are down significantly this year. When I say down significantly, it's about 1%. That doesn't seem like a big number, but that is a real big number, and we think that's a direct result of doing the work that we did down there. So we went with picked the basin that we thought had the most infiltration again. That'll be determined between all the repairs and everything, and trying to put a plan together over the next 2 years to do the exact same thing we did before, of spending $1 million to $1.5 million or wherever we need to, or we'll have to let them come back and tell us what that cost is, so that we can further reduce what we call just basically groundwater getting into our system that doesn't need to go into the sanitary sewer. So I use the word a lot, that these are the things that the public, I don't think, cares much about because they don't see it. It's not touchy-feely, but it is significant for us as a city of repairing our sewer lines, and there's a direct result in savings for us for the future. So before you tonight, you have a proposal from Robinson Engineering to oversee Basin 9 in the amount of $146,475, and that would be a recommendation to take that to full city council for approval. Is there a motion for such?
I'll make the motion, Mayor.
We have a motion from Alderman Jones. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Alderwoman Johnson. Any questions or comments? I see we have a representative here from Robinson Engineering tonight, or for Mr. Superintendent Newton. Alderman O'Brien.
Mayor, do you envision that would be paid
I know,
for with
I have it all
ARPA
rotated
funding
and
since it's
everything.
sewer related here?
That's a discussion, yeah, I think it's going to be difficult, and I'll tell you why, because we're not going to know the results of how much this is going to cost probably till next, a year from now, or even late fall, early spring. We have to allocate all of our ARPA money by December 31st, so could we allocate some money towards it? We could, and that's a discussion we'll have in 2 weeks. But I don't know, we could sit there and say we're going to do 1.3. One, we don't have 1.3 of allocation left, but we could sit there and say we want to put some of it towards it. I think it's going to have to be from, you know, we have an idea how we're going to camera line it, how we're going to do a proposal, how we're going to do the repairs. That's going to have to be from probably some capital money from ESU or some reserves or surplus where we're at there. That's why this year, when you see the ESU budget, we are putting a significant amount of capital towards other repairs like tuck pointing and seal coating and things like that, because I anticipate that we'll use a significant amount of our capital I would anticipate you'd use the 25, I'm getting my years right here, 25, 26 year, you'd use it out of ESU capital at this point.
But this 146,000, would that be through ARPA or not necessarily?
I think that's, at this point, we're just doing that through, just through cash on hand through sewer services.
All right, thank you.
We could allocate it through ARPA if we'd like to talk about that in 2 weeks, so I think we'll have a number of items on the ARPA agenda to talk about what we want to do there. Any other questions? Roll call?
Alderman Prue? Aye. Alderman O'Brien?
Aye.
Alderman Elsinga?
Aye.
Alderwoman Swanson?
Aye.
Alderwoman Johnson?
Aye.
Alderman Jones?
Aye.
Clerk Hall?
Aye.
That is forwarded on to City Council. You'll see that on your agenda tonight. Next, we have item 8C, Stantec Hydro Relicensing Agreement for $65,000. I'm going to defer to Superintendent Newton a little bit here, but this is we've been doing this for the last couple of years, and this is basically the work for this current summer, correct? And this is part of the ongoing relicensing of the hydro dam.
Right, correct. So this is a continuation of the services to help us with our relicensing progress that covers the time of January through April of this year for the work that they've been helping us with, different kinds of studies and things on the back end, a lot of communication with the different government agencies, trying to check the boxes and make sure that we have the information that we have for when we do our final application for this in a couple of years.
If you see in their proposal, this began in 2023. We talked about this would be a 5-year process, so this is going to go all the way up to 2028. But when this is all said and done, we expect that we would get another 40-year life cycle of it, utilizing the dam. So it's kind of one of those, another one of those things that isn't exciting to spend money on, but when it's all said and done, it will produce revenue for the city and get us to the end goal of using the hydro plant and having the ability of using the dam through 2068. Your grandkids can worry about it then.
Exactly.
So is there a motion to approve the Stantec Hydro Relicensing Agreement?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion from Alderwoman Swanson. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second from Alderman Prude. Any questions or comments?
Mayor, and this is a total of 65,000, is that what I'm reading?
This is a total of 65. There will be further bills that will be coming forth to you. So just because we're at larger numbers, we want to bring it before the committee.
Just want
But
to make sure I was reading it right.
we'll have another bill that'll be coming in probably this year yet again. And then we'll still have 3 more years of getting this done. But we're breaking it off over time is what we're doing over the 5-year period, so.
Okay.
Any other questions? Roll call?
Alderman Prue? Aye. Alderman O'Brien?
Aye.
Alderman Elsinga?
Aye.
Alderwoman Swanson?
Aye.
Alderwoman Johnson?
Aye.
Alderman Jones?
Aye.
Clerk Hall?
Aye.
Never had to do that.
Okay, the relicense agreement is approved. We have no need for an executive session. Any questions or comments for the good of the order? Okay, seeing none, it is 6:44. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
We have a motion from Alderman Prude and I believe Alderman O'Brien.
Alderman Elsinga.
Alderman Elsinga. It was like a harmony there, couldn't? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are adjourned to City Council. Thank you.